the day after getting engaged to Vincent. I heard slapping sounds coming from his second elder brother's room. As I approached, I heard my second sister-in-law sob and say, "Honey, don't take out the family rules. I'll never dare to forget to wake you up again." WUUU. I was stunned outside the door. I had heard earlier that the Gu family had many strict rules. I didn't expect them to be so harsh. Just for such a small matter. One would still be beaten. I touched my own bottom and decisively sneaked away. Joke. With my puny body. How could I endure a beating? But on the third day of my escape, Vincent came looking for me with people. Looking at his sullen face. My legs went weak and I plopped to my knees. His second elder brother immediately whistled. "Yo. Sister-in-law is a good prospect." I was tightly wrapped up. After confirming that there was no one outside the hotel room door, I sneaked out furtively. It's not that I'm cowardly. It's just that the Gu family is so powerful. In City A, even if a coin falls from the sky, it has to belong to the Gu family. So, my caution is understandable. If I hadn't been cooped up in the hotel for 2 days and didn't have any change of clothes, I would never go out at this time even if I were beaten to death. Thinking of these 2 miserable days, I almost ground my silver teeth to pieces. It's all that damn Jason's fault. If he hadn't forced me to marry Vincent, how would I have ended up in such a situation? Before getting engaged, I had heard that the Gu family's rules were very strict. When I asked him, he said that it was all nonsense. After all, we are siblings. Even if I am a bit naughty and always cause trouble for him, he can't send me into a pit of fire. With the Gu family's way of doing things and my usual antics, in less than a year he'll have to collect my corpse. Just wait. When my plane to Australia ends tomorrow morning, I will definitely complain to my uncle, and let my uncle scold him to a pulp. Too, I was filled with anger. After quickly buying a set of underwear, I returned to the hotel. When passing by a barbecue stall, I couldn't resist and packed a portion of spicy crayfish. I love eating crayfish the most. It's a pity that the few people I usually play with are too pretentious. They won't go out unless it's a star-rated restaurant. Crayfish. This delicious food is even regarded as commoners' food by them. So I can only eat it secretly. Now that I'm alone in the hotel, it's a good opportunity to eat secretly. I wore gloves and ate until my mouth was full of red oil, and I was gasping from the spicinces. This is the taste. Authentic. As I ate, I nodded, thinking that I could leave City A soon. I couldn't help but want to sing a song. When I was eating with relish, someone knocked on the door. "Hello. Room service. Do you want beer? Huh? Is there such a service?" I looked at the door warily, walked over quietly, and put my ear to the door. There was no movement outside. I breathed a sigh of relief. People of the Gu family's status always have a large entourage when they go out. It's impossible to be so quiet. There were 2 more knocks on the door. "Hello. Please open the door," I shouted loudly. "No need to clean. Oh, and no beer either." After I spoke, there was a chuckle outside the door. My steps towards the crayfish paused. I had a bad intuition. Sure enough, the door was knocked on twice again. A cold voice came. "Yvonne. It's me. Open the door." My brain buzzed. Vincent is here. How did he find me? I was immediately panicked and circled the room twice like a headless fly. The day after getting engaged to him, I left without saying goodbye. I turned off my phone, threw away the card, and also withdrew a large sum of cash from the card Vincent gave me. No matter how you look at it, it's all a sign of running away from marriage. My second sister-in-law will be beaten just for not waking her husband up in the morning. Will I be beaten to death for doing this? I was extremely scared and almost cried. At this time, I thought of my brother again. Although my brother didn't have good intentions, he wouldn't just watch me being beaten to death. I quickly took out my phone. Damn it. It's out of power. I left in such a hurry that I forgot to take the charger. Now it's so bad that I can't even make a video call. The person outside probably couldn't wait anymore and knocked twice again. Yvonne. Opened the door obediently. If I have to open it myself. I won't be patient to listen to your explanation. I gasped. Listen. Does this sound like something a good person would say? Yvonne. The voice outside the door was even more stern. I took a deep breath and, summoning my courage, opened the door. In City A. As long as the Gu family wants to. There is no door they can't open. Resisting stubbornly is not as good as being sensible early. For as soon as I unlocked the door, it was pushed open by a strong force. Outside stood a group of people in a dense crowd. Each one was tall and big, standing straight in black suits. I was startled. Goodness. It turns out that it wasn't that there was no one outside, but that they were so disciplined that they didn't make any noise. The Gu family with so many rules really lives up to its reputation. Thinking of this, I looked at Vincent tremblingly. He was standing at the front and was looking at me with dissatisfaction knitted on his brow. My heart trembled. Somehow, my legs went weak and I knelt down with a plop. Theft. A sound of suppressed laughter came from behind Vincent. It was exactly the same as the laughter outside the door earlier. I looked up and happened to meet Vincent's second elder brother's gaze. He whistled and raised his eyebrows. Yo. Sister-in-law is really a good prospect. Huh? My head was in a daze. I didn't understand what he meant by good prospect. Just then Vincent's face darkened. Before his second elder brother could enter, he took a step forward and closed everyone outside. There were only the two of us left in the room. Somehow, I felt even more uneasy and extremely panicked. Vincent walked over slowly and reached out to help me up. I subconsciously touched his arm and got a sleeve full of red oil on him. TSK. He frowned. My heart trembled. I was about to be driven to tears by my own stupidity and quickly apologized. Sorry. Vincent didn't say a word. He pinched my wrist with 2 fingers. Took off my glove and threw it into the trash can. After looking around the room, he said, "Pack your things and go home." Go home. As soon as I heard these 2 words, my butt started to hurt. In my heart, these 2 words were already equivalent to being tortured. I looked at him hesitantly, wanting to say no, wanting to say that I didn't want to marry him anymore. But as soon as our eyes met, my hands and feet seemed to have their own ideas and silently started packing things. Useless thing. I cursed in my heart. Just thinking about everything that might happen after going back really made me want to cry but had no tears. After packing slowly and I followed behind him and went down to the parking lot. Before getting in the car, I still wanted to struggle a little. "Can I use your phone to call my brother?" Hearing this, second brother Gu in the car laughed again. "No need to call. Your brother knows. It was your brother's people who guarded the barbecue stall and found you and called us to inform. Your brother said that you can't walk away when you see the barbecue stall. You must have a meal before leaving abroad." Your brother really knows you. I was so angry that my vision went black. Damn Jason. You're really done for. I'll ask my uncle to beat you to death. 6 But before seeing my uncle, I have to save my little life first. After parking, I was carried back to the bedroom by Vincent with weak legs. The door locked with a click. Like the last straw that broke the camel's back. I couldn't hold it in anymore and tears fell down patter. "You. Don't hit me. Don't hit me." As I cried, I moved back. After hitting the sofa, I simply curled up on the sofa. "I will never dare again. Don't hit me. I'm so afraid of pain." With tears in my eyes, I saw Vincent take off his coat and coldly take out his belt. The sound of crying became louder. He walked over step by step. I stood up and wanted to run but had nowhere to escape. When Vincent saw my strong reaction, he frowned. When he saw that I was staring at the belt in his hand in fear, he threw it down casually. "I'm just changing clothes. Why are you crying?" He pointed to the coat that I had smeared with red oil. I didn't believe him and still cried. He strode forward and wanted to hug me. I struggled desperately. He scolded in a low voice, "Don't move." My heart trembled. My hands and feet didn't listen to me again and stood still obediently. He hugged me and patted my back to comfort me. "Don't be afraid. I won't hit you." Huh? I was a little surprised. Looking up at him, he really didn't look like he was going to hit me. Instead, he had pity in his eyes, as if I were some little poor thing who had been traumatized. I was a little relieved, but still stared at him warily. It wasn't until I smelled the fruity woody fragrance on his body that I realized I was lying on his chest. I quickly sat up straight. Vincent cleared his throat and took a tissue and handed it to me. "Can I ask? Why do you think I'm going to hit you? Isn't this asking knowingly?" I glanced at him and sniffed. "Your family has many rules. Second sister-in-law just didn't wake up second brother and she had to be punished by family rules." I ran away without saying a word. "According to your family rules, will I be beaten to death?" Thinking of this, I couldn't help but feel sad. Since I was young, I was both afraid of pain and loved beauty. Thinking that I would be beaten until my skin was torn and my flesh was bleeding, I just felt that life was hopeless. "Family rules?" Vincent repeated, looking a little confused. In an instant, he thought of something again and cursed in a low voice as if realizing something. He wanted to laugh but felt embarrassed and stammered, "Yvonne, some couples will play some little games. Second brother and them." He mumbled, "Do you understand what I mean?" I looked at him hesitating, and after a pause, I suddenly understood. Damn. It can't be what I think. The sound of sobbing stopped abruptly. I looked at Vincent and was petrified by his nod. Heaven and earth. This is actually a big misunderstanding. I remembered that I was so cowardly that my legs were weak and I cried and begged for mercy. Saying things like family rules and regulations. I wished I could dig a hole and crawl in. I covered my face with my hands and my face was so hot that it could cook an egg. Vincent chuckled and looked at me. "I was just saying that you were fine when we got engaged. Why did you run away early in the morning the next day? Did you catch second brother and second sister-in-law in the act?" My face turned even redder and I nodded hesitantly. "As long as the misunderstanding is cleared up," Vincent said with a smile. "But in the future, if there is anything you don't understand, just ask me. Running away without saying a word is not a good habit." Vincent glanced at me. "Don't do this again next time." I quickly nodded. After saying that, he told me to have a good rest and then went out. Judging from his posture, it seemed that he was going to settle accounts with his second brother. Sure enough, when I went downstairs to eat the next day, from the way second brother looked at me, I knew that he should already know the whole story of this farce. He looked at me and laughed for a long time. My face turned red again. But I was crazy in my heart. Is there any mistake? Obviously it's you and your wife playing little games. Why does it seem like I was eavesdropping? But I didn't dare to argue with him at all. I could only try my best to block his sight, and sit down and eat silently. When Vincent and Big Brother finished eating and left, I also quickly wanted to leave, but was stopped by second brother. He wiped his mouth and teased me with a smile. "Yvonne, how can you be so shy? Let me give you a reminder. My younger brother is much better at playing than me." I looked at his malicious smile and didn't believe it at all. Am I stupid? He must be holding a grudge because Vincent came to settle accounts with him yesterday. So he deliberately came in front of me and spoke ill of Vincent. Seeing that I didn't believe him, second brother raised his eyebrows. "Go and look in the drawer of the study. There is his wedding gift for you. After seeing it, you will understand." After saying that, he left gracefully. I was completely confused and still felt it was unlikely. Not to mention, Vincent is definitely a model of a conservative man in contemporary times. He and my elder brother have been good friends since childhood. But we didn't have much contact. After the engagement was decided, the two families discussed the wedding together. He was always polite and proper. The most intimate behavior with me was just holding hands. After the engagement, the two families discussed letting me move into the Gu family to adapt to life in advance. I thought this was just an implicit way of saying, a man and a woman are at the right age and have an engagement. It's obvious what will happen when living together. But I didn't expect that after I moved in, the Gu family really prepared a bedroom for me. On the night of the engagement, after Vincent settled me down, he politely withdrew. With this kind of behavior style, how could he play tricks? 9. I shook my head and didn't believe it at all. But second brother spoke righteously, and it really didn't seem like a lie. I lay on the bed and struggled for a long time. Finally, I put on my slippers and went to the door of Vincent's study. I'm not suspecting Vincent. I just want to see my gift. Well, that's it. Taking advantage of the servants not paying attention, I slipped into the study. Standing in front of the desk, my heart beat a little faster. I quickly opened the first drawer and saw that it was all files. The second one was still files. When I opened the third one, I saw a box with a bow. Wow! There really is a gift. I opened the box with trembling hands and saw a pink horsewhip placed in the box filled with raffia. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Damn it. What second brother said was actually true. Vincent actually really. I felt a bit complicated. I picked up that whip with a wooden face and looked at it. There were even the words Yvonne written on the handle of the whip. Me. But when I touched the whip body and felt a pain on my fingertip, leaving a red mark, my speechless mood turned into anger. No, with such a rough whip. Is he trying to play with something kinky or commit murder? When I put the things back in place, my hands were shaking a little. It wasn't because of fear. It was purely out of anger. As a young person in the new era, it's not unusual to have some variety in married life. Except for feeling a bit inconsistent with Vincent's previous image. I can accept it well. But if he wants to whip me with this whip, that's a bit insane. Moreover, shouldn't such things be done after obtaining mutual consent and trying together? He secretly prepared things and just waited for the wedding night to surprise me. It's really disrespectful. And that whip is so rough that it can almost be called domestic violence. I was full of anger but forced myself not to explode. When Vincent asked me if I wanted to go to the study to read a book in the evening, I agreed. After entering, I sat down on the sofa in the study. I opened my phone and registered a new account on a certain platform and posted a work. What should I do if my boyfriend has a special fetish? I decided to gather ideas from the masses and use the powerful wisdom of netizens to counter his moves. It would be best to teach Vincent a lesson. But I didn't expect that this group of netizens are not serious. Of course. Cooperate with him. Covering mouth and laughing. What fetish? Which fetish? Tell me in detail. Melon seeds. JPG. Wow. Sister. You've found a treasure. You really don't know how blessed you are. Mine is like an old-fashioned person. He doesn't know any tricks at all. Married life is like plain boiled water. I'm already like a widow. Does anyone know that I'm only 30? There was a lot of joking and chaos below. I looked at it and was covered in black lines. Only one netizen replied seriously, if you really can't accept it, it is recommended to break up. I sighed. There are only 2 weeks left until our scheduled wedding date. Almost everyone in City A knows that we are going to get married. Breaking off the engagement at this time would turn a marriage alliance into an enmity. Moreover, this reason is not tenable. If I tell the reason, others will definitely persuade me that this is just married fun. Maybe they will even say that I am old-fashioned. I sighed and replied to this netizen, this husband doesn't support return or exchange. Is there any other way? It is recommended to take the initiative. Anyway, you two are locked together and can't be separated. Who that he has to be the ass. Find an opportunity to tie him up and whip him a few times with a small leather whip. Anyway, you will be tortured in the future. The main idea is to pay him back once and count it once. Not serious. Wow. Isn't the train of thought opened up? This idea is really good. The landlord takes the initiative first. Maybe your husband will be whipped in from then on. He will distinguish who is in charge and never dare to provoke you again. Doghead, I have experience with this. At first, mine was still as aloof as anything. Now he is purely a clingy puppy. Picture. JPG immediately. Someone below was yelling that the landlord didn't treat netizens as outsiders. Out of curiosity, I clicked on the picture and took a look. I gasped and subconsciously looked at Vincent. Then I stared at my phone for a long time. Damn it. Why am I suddenly a little tempted? 11. I quickly stopped this absurd thought, and looked at Vincent again. His profile as he was seriously working was stern. His nose was high and straight. It was not just a little handsome. If it weren't for his good looks, when my elder brother asked me to marry him, I wouldn't have agreed after hesitating for a few days. If I were in his position and he were lying on the bed, letting me take whatever I want, then I think this fetish is not bad either. I couldn't help but curve my mouth. And I am soft-hearted and know my limits. I won't be like him and use such a rough whip. Thinking about it this way, this idea is really perfect. I swallowed and immediately searched for precautions on the browser. As the old saying goes, the bold are starved to death while the timid are starved to death. How can I be reconciled if I don't try? Besides, if I don't take action, I will have to wait for him to whip me. Thinking about it this way, it's better to take the plunge and experience it first. So, I entered BDSM beginner tutorial in the search box. After looking at it for a while, I closed it. Then I entered, what should beginners pay attention to in BDSM? After looking at it for a while, I added it to my favorites. Recommended reading, Illustrated Guide to Bondage Types. When I was looking at it seriously, Vincent suddenly coughed. Subconsciously, I pressed my phone to my chest and looked at him. He didn't notice anything unusual and just said, "Aunt Wu has cooked mung bean soup. Bring me a bowl." Oh, I responded. But in my heart I was frantically complaining. "I'm not your maid. We're not married yet. And you're ordering me around. For someone like him. What am I hesitating about? I should give him a good thrashing back and forth and let him know why the flowers are so red." I angrily swung my fist in my heart. When I learn skills while online, there will be a time when you regret it. Kid. Thinking this way, I felt much better. When I brought him the mung bean soup and lifted a straight back as he sat in front of the table, the white shirt outlined his slim waist. I still had the mood to substitute the pictures just sent by netizens. The strong and powerful muscles are tightly bound by a red rope. The fair skin and red rope, combined with the dim light. Perfect. I looked at his back freely and couldn't take my eyes off him at all. I have to say, I was really a country bumpkin before. I never discovered this field. How many good things have I missed? 12. I touched my nose and handed him the mung bean soup. He took it and said thanks. I waved with a smile and walked to the sofa and sat down, planning to chat in detail with a few netizens. When I picked up my phone and looked at it, I realized that I had forgotten to lock the screen just now. Looking at the white male body on the screen, I subconsciously turned to look at Vincent. What's wrong? Vincent noticed my gaze and asked. The movement of stirring with a spoon didn't stop. It seems he didn't notice. I felt a little more at ease. Right. He was busy looking at documents all night, and probably didn't pay attention to me. Nothing. I gave a perfunctory reply. But only after closing the picture did I find that my newly posted work had been deleted. Damn it. Now where can I find my internet sisters? Just as I was frowning in annoyance, I suddenly heard Vincent say, "If you're bored staying at home, you can go out for a stroll with second sister-in-law. Buy back anything you lack as early as possible." As soon as I heard this, I slapped my thigh. Right. How could I have forgotten second sister-in-law? I'm a novice in this aspect. But second brother and second sister-in-law are experts. Moreover, second brother still holds a grudge against Vincent for settling accounts with him. Just right. He can help me come up with ideas and see how I should operate to subdue Vincent and let him be at my mercy. I looked at Vincent's lowered profile and smirked with a bit of lewdness. 13. The next day. I found an opportunity and knocked on second sister-in-law's door. Second brother wasn't there. Second sister-in-law was sitting alone on the small balcony reading a book. I stared blankly at second sister-in-law with gentle temperament and looking like a fairy. I sincerely cursed second brother as an animal. Not that I'm saying. Facing someone like my second sister-in-law. I don't know how he could do such things. But thinking that I will soon become a member of the animal brigade. My moral standard has lowered again. I can ask those shameful questions even in front of the fairy like second sister-in-law. After second sister-in-law heard me, she was very surprised. Vincent doesn't seem like... Really? Before she could finish, I interrupted indignantly. It was second brother who reminded me. I told her about finding the whip in the study and my suspicions, accusing Vincent of having ulterior motives. After second sister-in-law heard it, her eyes flashed and she stammered. Ah, then it's really possible. Right. Seeing that she agreed with me, I immediately found an excuse for my revenge behavior. Do I want to do something to Vincent? Not at all. But if I don't take action, I'll become a fish on the chopping board. So I have to take the lead and do something to him. Is there anything wrong? Not at all. Okay. I blinked my innocent big eyes and pitifully begged second sister-in-law to help me. Second sister-in-law is as kind-hearted as a fairy. Unable to resist my pleading, she invited me to a membership website. As soon as it opened, there were all good things I had never seen before. Gosh. The happiness in this world is so much that I can't even imagine. I stared straight, forgetting everything else. But second sister-in-law added me and hesitated. But you and Vincent have a big disparity in strength. Even if you have emergency training before marriage. Then, she stopped talking. But I immediately understood what she meant, and looked at her with my big eyes blinking. Second sister-in-law. You know. Since I was young. Okay. Second sister-in-law helplessly made a gesture to stop. Don't say any more. I'll help you. I secretly gave a thumbs-up lie. See. My damn charm can easily win over the fairy. 14 From this day on, I can be said to have opened a new world. No longer thinking about other things. I just wander around in the website that second sister-in-law gave me every day. Knowledge enters my mind like a sponge absorbing water. On the day of marriage, I was so excited that my eyes shone. I couldn't wait for it to get dark immediately to test my learning results. My uncle rushed back from Australia. Originally, he was scolding my elder brother for being disrespectful and not telling him such a big thing in advance. When he turned his head and saw me smiling so happily, he stopped. Even Jason thought it was abnormal to see me so happy and tentatively asked, "Have you two been getting along well during this time?" I nodded perfunctorily. When I turned my head and met second brother Goo's gaze, he seriously gave me a thumbs up. I knew things would go smoothly as planned, and my mood was even more excited. My elder brother was still saying that Vincent attached great importance to me, and specially inquired about my preferences from him. All of these were ignored by me. He still thinks he has picked such a good husband for me. Actually, TSK. I really don't want to talk about him. During the toast session, I was extremely excited to see second brother, who was supposed to block drinks for Vincent, constantly disappearing to use the bathroom, leaving Vincent being forced to drink a lot. After seeing Vincent drink another glass of wine, he whispered a few words to his subordinates and brought 2 new bottles of wine. When my eyes rolled, I took the lead and poured the wine in the waiter's hand beside me into Vincent's glass when he was adding wine. When we were close, I heard Vincent call softly, "Yvonne." The voice was full of warning. I furiously glanced at him and gave him a defiant smile. His eyes darkened as he moved. He whispered in my ear, "You will regret this." I made a face. It's not certain who will regret it. 15 Finally, the banquet ended. Second brother brought the drunk Vincent to the room. He made a gesture of invitation and said to me, "My task is completed. Have your way." I was overjoyed and quickly took Vincent into my hands. He was still conscious and barely managed to prop himself up. I ignored him and just looked at second brother. Second brother had no choice but to hand me the bag in his hand as well. This was the tool prepared for me by second sister-in-law. Go easy. After all, he's my younger brother. If you really play too hard and ruin him, I'll hold you accountable. I raised an eyebrow and thought to myself, you're the one who sent him to me. What kind of big shot are you pretending to be? But on the surface, I responded and slammed the door shut. Finally, I can start. I was extremely excited inside, looking at Vincent, who was lying on the side of my neck. His face was flushed. His eyes were tightly closed, and his long eyelashes were quivering slightly, inexplicably giving off a pitiful look. I had never seen Vincent like this. A naughty factor all over me was clamoring wildly. The more pitiful he looked, the more I wanted to bully him. I'm really a pervert. I supported him as he staggered and fell onto the bed. He didn't make a fuss either. He opened his eyes and looked at me, called out, "Yvonne," in a low voice, and then closed his eyes quietly again. Under the dim light, his eyebrows and eyes were madly tempting me to commit a crime. My heart was pounding. When taking things out of the bag, I wavered for a moment. But then I slapped myself. How could I be so inattentive? As planned, I took off Vincent's clothes. When it came to his pants, my face flushed so red that it could drip blood. This was the first time I had seen a male body so closely. But after stripping him naked, impulse took over my mind. I couldn't think of anything else at all. I took out the red rope from the bag and measured it on his body. Little beauty. Here I come. With shining eyes, I passed the rope through his neck. Just as I was about to continue, I met Vincent's open eyes. I was startled and subconsciously let out a low cry. Vincent moved extremely quickly. With a swift lift of his body, I felt the view change and our positions were reversed. I was pinned under him. Damn it. I looked at him in shock. His eyes were clear. There was not the slightest sign of drunkenness. You. Aren't you drunk? I exclaimed in horror. He chuckled, his eyes sweeping over the red rope scattered on the bed, and the bag that second brother gave me. He raised an eyebrow and said, "So Yvonne wants to play this?" I was startled and quickly stammered. No, I was just looking casually. Vincent looked at me with a half smile, seemingly regretful, and said, "I've told you so many times. If there's something, tell me. Look, you've been tricked by second brother and second sister-in-law again, right?" I widened my eyes. What does that mean? Vincent didn't say more. He held my two wrists tightly with one big hand, restraining my movements. With the other hand, he waved and poured out the things in the bag. Full of interest, he said, "Let me see what good things second sister-in-law has prepared for us." After a rustling sound, Vincent picked up a pink ear headband and put it on my head. I was both ashamed and annoyed. In an instant, I suddenly realized, pink? Damn it. This was clearly prepared for me. Angry and ashamed, I wanted to take off the cat ears. Vincent wouldn't let me, and increased his strength. After looking at me intently for a while, he nodded and praised. Not bad. I was still struggling. Vincent lightly patted my buttocks. "Don't make trouble." Damn it. Where are you touching? The blush on my face grew even stronger, and I glared at him. He ignored me and concentrated on picking up the red rope and fiddling with it. After a long while, he still only tied my wrists. "Sorry. I'm not very good at this. I'll learn later." Damn it. Learn what? Don't learn. After that, I had the honor of using various props in the big gift bag. Looking at Vincent's excited eyes throughout, I really wanted to cry but had no tears. Damn it. I'm going to settle scores with that couple. 16, but I overestimated my physical strength. After being so intense on the first night, I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. Vincent probably felt a bit guilty and stayed at home to take care of me. But whenever I met his smiling eyes, I always felt that he was laughing at me. I angrily turned my head and scolded him. What are you laughing at? But he laughed even more heartily. When I could finally get out of bed, I rushed angrily to find second brother and second sister-in-law, only to learn that they had already gone on vacation abroad. I could only swallow this great loss. While I was still angry, Vincent quietly took my hand. I impatiently pulled my hand out. None of your family are good things. Vincent looked at his empty hand and said, I told you to ask me if there's something. You didn't listen. You just judge by appearances. Second sister-in-law is good-looking, so you believe her? You can be deceived by second brother's casual words. Why don't you know to listen to me? He said. Hearing him mention this again, my face flushed and I said angrily out of embarrassment, if you didn't leave a whip in the drawer for no reason, how could I misunderstand? After hearing this, Vincent laughed again, and had someone fetch the box from the study. After opening it, he picked up the whip and waved it casually. A sharp whistling sound cut through the air. He said helplessly to me, think about it. Such a powerful thing. How could it be used on you? I was at a loss for words and avoided his eyes, but still stubbornly argued. But there's my name on it. Vincent smiled and shook his head, then took my hand again. I heard that you've always wanted to buy a horse. Coincidentally, I know a friend who has a 2-year-old thoroughbred horse. I got it for you as a gift. Wedding gift. The horsewhip is prepared for it. At this point, Vincent blushed a little. Second brother said that horsewhips can be customized with engraving. I couldn't think of anything else at the moment, so I only engraved your name. Tomorrow I will take you to see the horse. Think about what you want to name the horse. I will ask someone to make a new whip and send it over. I looked up in surprise. Some time ago, I was addicted to equestrians and really wanted to buy a horse. But I hadn't found a suitable one. A purebred horse. It's a famously good horse. My eyes lit up. I could no longer care about anything else and couldn't wait to see the horse. But Vincent didn't agree. He looked at me teasingly, and was still bringing up old scores. You don't trust me and still slander me online under my nose. You side with outsiders and team up with second brother and second sister-in-law to cheat me. Yvonne, don't you have to give me an explanation? He looked at me with a smile. I had to say a grieved lie. Okay. It's all my fault. I apologize to you. Shall we go see the horse this afternoon? I looked at him expectantly. Vincent put his arm around me, and we went back to the room. There's no need to apologize. I thought that there is a set in the bag given by second sister-in-law. If you are willing to put it on and show it to me, then I will. My face flushed bright red. I quickly covered his mouth and looked around, fearing that the servants might hear. It's okay. The servants have all gone to rest. So, will you agree? He brushed aside my hand and looked at me with shining eyes. I forced a fake smile and raised my hand to give him a hard knock on the head. Don't even think about it. It's not me who says it. None of them in their family are any good.